Hi, I'm Brad Pearl and I teach human geography at Furr High School. Today we will be focusing on criteria I-4, engages students in higher thinking skills. So, we're going to be focusing on the question, are genetically modified foods and factory farming methods that go with them better for the planet? So each station I want you to take away some information to use for your argument that you're going to write up later on.
I think the thing that makes Mr. Pearl so successful in his classroom is that he's an excellent planner, and he thinks about things in a different way.
Well, he teaches us a lot in class first, but he gives us a lot of open-ended questions that he wants us to answer that involve a lot of thinking and lots of utilizing what you learn in between each day.
That's positive and negative effects of the Green Revolution, animal rights, food tasting and price comparison. I created 5 different stations, smart stations, that kids would go to. I put instructions and snippets from articles. So would you mind opening that envelope and taking out the questions? I just find that when someone gets to pick something out of an envelope, it just means more than just seeing papers just stacked up there. I find that I get more kids reading and responding when I do it that way.
Well, right here it says that higher inputs of chemical fertilizers and pesticides can lead to reduced organic matter in the soil and to groundwater pollution.
And so therefore,
it's basically killing the matter in our soil. And that's probably why they have to keep re-injecting nitrogen back into the soil to revive it.
That's what he was saying. So the first station was more specific reading on what the Green Revolution was and how it started with rice, and so there were some specifics that they had to do with that station. What rights would you give to a pet? What rights would you give to a farm animal? I set up station 2, another station, and this was an animal rights station.
At the animal rights table, we learned how they treat animals in the factories and how they're caged. And we also learned what benefits pets and humans have that farm animals don't have.
I had an iPad there with a video that I found, and so I had them watching this little video. And they had a short reading to do as well, and then they had this little animal rights chart, and they had to compare how we treat pets, how we treat farm animals, and how we treat humans. Anyway, these little things went on, and so they filled this animal rights chart out, and that they had this discussion about how should we feel about the way that animals are treated.
Plus, don't all animals feel the same as humans do? They got feelings and stuff. I wouldn't like if someone put me in a cage like that.
Okay. So this is really interesting. Let's see here. Look at that.
Why does it look all gooey?
Okay.
It looks like
oil.
like applesauce.
I know.
There's oil on top.
The food tour was like interesting. You see the differences between organic and like modified food.
The yolk is bigger on that one.
And that one's yellow.
You could taste the difference. You could say, oh, this one tastes better. You could argue better.
And the factory cage egg is $169.
There's a lot of difference on the prices.
They just went through this whole tasting process, which just got the kids to enjoy that table, which it was really a lot of fun. But then they had to say, okay, I see the price of this. Wow, eggs $1.69, and wow, $7.69 for like ethically pure eggs. I don't know if I'm going to pay for those. And they just got through at the animal rights table saying, man, this stuff, we've got to treat animals better. This is just wrong. And so having the kids translate that into the pocketbook, that's really when things are going to change. And so that was the discussion I wanted to have the kids to have at that table. Okay, so what effects did the Green Revolution have on women or gender?
I think negative because they force them to work and they don't get paid.
The next station I set up was about the effects of GMO foods on gender. And so it was really about power relationships. So what I do is I'll sit down at a station and then I'll hear what kids are saying, and if someone's struggling, I'll ask them to rephrase it a different way, or I'll say, are you trying to say this? Go ahead.
The man, what she said, the man takes all the power and they don't treat the woman equally.
Right, because women couldn't own what?
Land.
Right, they didn't own the property, the men actually owned the property. I started to use little chunks of information because what I found using a big just a sheet, a whole page, was that people would get lost, students would just not know where to find it, and it would just take too long. But if you just give a little strip of paper, well, anybody can do that. And so this chunking, this scaffolding approach, I've had a lot of success with. And it not only does it save time, but it allows everyone to complete a task, and then they can go on to the next one. All right, so in general then, what is your argument for or against genetically modified foods?
Supporting the farming method, the GMO.
Right, because
I mean, we would like the organic, but it would be too expensive to get it, so we would get the cheaper stuff.
I think when I see kids arguing, for one, I know that they're really engaged. At this table, I set up an argument, whether they were supposed to actually argue from some readings that they had done.
During class, we have debates. Like, somebody gives their point of view, and then he keeps asking questions, so we can like keep talking about it, so we can understand it ourselves, so we know what is our point of view, so we understand what we learn.
I-4, higher order thinking skills, is easy, and it's actually really fun, because all you're really doing is challenging a kid to answer a question, and if you do it in a way that they're really interested. I mean, everyone likes to answer questions. Especially, I try to make it so it's some argumentative topic that you've really got to get passionate about, because when you get passionate about something, you want to put more time into it. You put more time into it, then you're going to raise your level of thinking, because you're really concerned that someone's going to hear your point of view.
Harry and Pete said there's a rarer type to whom we owe more still, and those are teachers with a view of life, who open our eyes to new ways of doing things and help us to see life in a different way.